This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company and Purdy Insurance. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
I literally just walked in here after the Coaches versus Cancer golf tournament. Now, the afternoon round's out now. But, yeah. I had a great time today. Aaron, Matt, Pete, Joey. I played with the Del Grosso Foods Group. Oh, my God. We had a great time. I think it was like, look, we did the respectable. The key is respectable in all this. I was talking with Ali Barubi before I left. And I said, look, if you're double-digit under par, that's respectable. We were 13. Good enough. 20-something under par wins these things. But the important part is how the progression of money that Coaches versus Cancer has raised. Penn State is number 4 in the country at the $5 million mark. 4 in the country. That shows the incredible generosity of all the people in this area. And I mean, it's across the state. I mean, it's a statewide thing. We have people from all over the state coming in to play in this tournament because all of us have been affected or touched by cancer at one point or another in our lives. And to get to the first million took years. And like anything, you're trying to get off the ground, you get going. The journey from 1 to 2 million took years, but it was a little bit quicker. The journey from 2 million to 3 million got quicker, still took years. Then from 3 to 4 million, it really accelerated. And what's interesting is that from 4 to 5 million accelerated. The generosity has been incredible. And I mean, there were A and B teams this morning, which meant, you're talking 18 holes. That's 36 groups going off this morning. And then there was, when I left, it was a traffic jam getting out because they were releasing the afternoon group, and we had to wait for the carts to go by. But, and you're talking about, A's and B's on 2 golf courses. I mean, 2 golf courses because they use both the blue and the white. And it is, to me, it's heartwarming. They do a great job with it. Bruce Parkhill started it. Jerry Dunn grabbed the baton and advanced it. Ed DeChellis grabbed the baton. He advanced it. Pat Chambers grabbed the baton. He advanced it. And then Jim Ferry to Micah Shrewsbury. They advanced it. And now Mike Rhodes is advancing it. And it's been great. And the Coaches versus Cancer Committee, Mike Martin, Scott Walker, Wendy Pelkey, have done just a phenomenal job with it. And I can't thank them enough. And they gave me an absolutely phenomenal group. It's one of those groups where if they give me that group every year, I am a happy guy because we had a lot of laughs today, a lot of laughs, and a lot of really good shots. Right? And if they were bad shots, we made fun of them. And if I had a bad shot, I made fun of myself. I made sure of it. Because when I'm going to make fun of the other guy's shot, I'm going to make fun of my shot if it's bad. Okay? We just had a good time. So that was the morning. When the show was over yesterday, I went over and I was a part. It wasn't a long presentation. But, I, quote, emceed the presentation last night. And then I was out there this morning. I think I was at the golf course at 6:15 because we teed off at 7 this morning. So, yeah, incredible and a lot of fun. Rich Scarcella is going to join us from the Reading Eagle at 1:30 today. Gabe Sinacropi from the Williamsport Crosscutters at 2:35 today. Looking forward to talking with them. There's a lot to talk to them about. Cutters like the Spikes getting their season going next week. And with Rich, every time we turn around, there is an issue to talk about in college football and in college basketball. Over and over again, more issues to discuss. And, yeah, we're looking forward to getting into those discussions with them as the afternoon progresses here. Again, Rich is at 1:35, and Gabe will be at 2:35 today. And the, I already talked about the TV times yesterday. It's like, you're supposed to be generous, like you gave us 3. Hey, wow, great. Well, 4 including Northwestern, which we already know, which is part of the Fox Friday night package. A lot of people want to know what the whiteout game is. I mean, Penn State can pick any game they want for the whiteout. But the bottom line is fans, of course, prefer to have the whiteout be a night game. And I know a lot of people have been targeting that October 10th game. First of all, time of the year, perfect for it. Opponent, exactly the kind of opponent you want. Now the question is, can you get the cooperation of other people from the outside? All right? So, yeah. All right, we'll take a break here in the opening half hour. Half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hey, Steve, we can't take a break at the moment. We're having a technical difficulty.
Oh, okay.
So give us 3 or 4 minutes, and then we can do exactly what you're looking for.
Okay. I'll hang on then. Thanks, Rob. And I do have to get your Rich's number still, unless you have it. So, make sure you get that number. So, last night the Spurs won big, so there'll be a 7th and deciding game there. I know you're shocked, but the Players Association in Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball owners, their proposals are very, very far apart. I know you're shocked. That they are far apart. All right, so we will take a break. Back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford Kia Hyundai, best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the all-important Sunbury Motors guarantee. Go over every vehicle on the lot. Makes your buying experience exponentially better. And terrific service department, quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. All right. So, getting to it. I know a lot of people anxious about football season, even at this time of the year. Football never goes out of vogue. It dominates the yearly cycle. Dominates it. The NFL does it all the time. And now college football is doing it. Just this mere discussion over the 24 versus 16 team playoff versus 12. And are they going to do a 5-year rule? Are they going to put an age limit on it? I mean, and how do you handle NIL?
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Those are just some of our insurance needs. And they organize all of them. They make sure you're fully covered, the coverage you need, and the best price they can find. And they will work hard to find you that best price to save you money. Customer service means everything to them at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. It is always a privilege on my part to be joined by Rich Scarcella, Writing Eagle. Rich, welcome to the show.
Glad to be back, Steve.
Have you written your magazine piece already?
For Lindy's, yes. I had to have all that due last Tuesday. Yes. I still have some other freelance stuff for the football annual, but they're feature stories.
Right. So what was your general take when somebody sits down to read Lindy's? What are some of the highlights they should be looking for?
Well, for the Penn State coverage, whether it's in the national edition or the Big Ten edition, I think I've mentioned this in my last spot on your show. There's so much unknown with Penn State. It's hard to wrap your head around it because we know this. We know it's an experienced team. You have 21 players who started more than half of their team's games last year. It's experienced, it's older, it's talented in a lot of spots, but it's all about meshing and everybody coming together. And Matt Campbell has talked about that almost from day one, and has tried to do different things to pull everybody together. Not that they were separate or anything like that, but you have what? Almost 50 holdovers from Penn State. You got 24 from Iowa State, and we can go down the list. But that's my biggest take. I think Matt Campbell knows what is ahead. He talked about that at the end of spring practice. I think they can be a top 15 or a top 20 team. Yes. I think a lot of things have to go right, but I think there's a lot of ability on this roster, but there are also a lot of guys who miss spring practice, or at least part of spring practice.
Right, no question about that. So let's get to the wide-ranging topics. 24 versus 12 or 16. Where do you fall?
I don't have a problem with 12 at all, and especially we've only had 2 years of it.
Right.
I wouldn't have a problem with 16, and then you have 8 first-round games on campus sites. I like that. I think 24 is too many. I just do. I know the Big Ten is pushing for it. I know the Big 12 came out, coaches yesterday, and said their preference is a 24-team playoff. I just think it's too many, and I think just like the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and I guess women's too, but increasing the field to 76 doesn't do anything for me except diminish the games that are, in there. And I just don't, I don't see it being, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm old, but I don't see it being a positive going to 24 teams. I don't think 16 is a problem, though.
All right. How do you feel about the money part of it? Because I know people say it's a money grab, but you and I both know that there are expenses in athletic departments now, and football and, to a certain point, men's basketball don't get any financial help from anybody from any other sport. What kind of role does that play in it because of how expensive sports have become?
Well, I think it's the NIL and the transfer portal has increased, has forced schools to put a lot of money into football, men's basketball. And what you're seeing, Steve, you're not seeing mass cuts, but you're seeing schools cut sports because they can't afford to continue with varsity sports because of all the money they have to put into football and men's basketball. And is that good? Is that not? I mean, that's for somebody else to decide. But I know this. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see more and more teams, more and more schools being forced to cut programs, varsity programs, especially if you're talking about a $30 million football roster or a $20 to $25 million basketball roster. I just don't know how. I think you're going to see it's going to continue. There's going to be a larger gap between the haves and the have-nots going forward.
Yeah, and that's the haves versus the have-nots is a big problem because look, I see that in basketball. I mean, I saw 6 programs in the Big Ten that were probably 8 figures on their overall NIL between the internal number and the external number. There were 6 schools, including Illinois and Michigan, which made the Final Four. And then, of course, Penn State was at or near the bottom in it last year. Yep. So I saw it graphically play out in front of me of a have versus a have-not.
There's no doubt about it. And, Mike Rose would tell you that privately, if not publicly, that I mean, how do you compete? And it's a gap, and it's for Pat Kraft running an athletic department, he's got to invest money in football because football drives the revenue for the rest of the department. And now you got how much should we commit to men's basketball? And you hate to say this, but the expectations going into a season, knowing that 6 teams are much more well-financed than your team, it can be very discouraging.
No, there's no question about it. And, of course, one of the reasons they want to expand the stadium, which, look, I realize that there were circumstances around not doing it 10 years ago. I mean, there were fines to pay and so forth. I mean, you have to remember what era it was. And so I want to be fair to the previous administration. But you'd prefer to have done it 10 years ago because the price would have been half. But what does it tell you about the pressure in the arms race that you're looking at programs doing stadium expansions or club seats or things like that because they've got to drive something revenue-wise out of their football stadium?
Well, I remember Joe Paterno talking about the arms race, and we didn't have there was no NIL, there was no transfer portal, and you had the arms race then. Were facilities. You got to keep up with whoever, whether it was, let's talk about the Big Ten. Keep up with Ohio State, Michigan with facilities, and now it's on a whole nother level with facilities, NIL, managing the roster, and now you have, how do you raise more money if you're Penn State? You add premium seating for football games. I understand that. I know there are going to be a lot of people who don't, or there are a lot of people who don't like it, but I get it. I certainly understand that.
No, and I do too, because I mean, how important? Have you had any chance, Rich, to look at the Senate bill that Maria Cantwell from Washington and Ted Cruz of Texas put out there? Did you get any chance to really look at that yet?
No, I haven't dug deep into it. I know there's a salary cap, and I'm sure that's not going to go over well with people. But I have not had a chance to do a deep dive into it, Steve. But I know there's got to be a way. Like again, we'll go back to what James Franklin and Lane Kiffin said at the Peach Bowl 2.5 years ago. We need guardrails in college football, and that's true. And I think if there's a way to limit transfers somehow, I mean, I don't think you're getting rid of the NIL. That's a component of this. No, But if you limit transfers or at least penalize kids, athletes who are transferring 3, 4, 5 times during their college career, I think it would be in a little better position. But I don't know if that's legally possible. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to play one. But I don't know. But if it can be done, they've got to find a way to do it. And the thing that I keep thinking about is, I think the only way that you can get guardrails is with a collective bargaining agreement.
Me too.
And I was against that maybe 4 years ago, but I think that's the only that I don't think it's perfect, but it would improve the situation that we have now.
Yeah, see, I feel the same way. I think 4 or 5 years ago, we're like, collective bargaining in college sports? Come on.
Yeah.
Now I am squarely behind collective bargaining because I'm a big believer, and I'll see how you feel about it. College sports need structure. There's no question the administration needs structure. Unbeknownst to the players, I don't think they realize it, but they actually need structure too. They may not realize it, but I think they do. And the fans are aching for structure. That's how I view it. I don't know how you see it.
Did you say the NCAA needs structure?
Everybody needs structure. Administration needs structure. The administration needs structure. The players need structure. The fans are aching for structure. Yes,
I would agree. I think, this has been tossed out. It is the wild, wild west. Yeah. And there needs to be something done just to to coordinate it, to set up guardrails. That doesn't mean you're going to eliminate paying players. That's never going to stop, and it shouldn't stop. I'm a proponent. Athletes should get a slice of the pie. I have no problem with that at all. But you've got to figure out a way that you can't have kids who are. I shouldn't say these. These are athletes. They're transferring 2, 3, 4, and even 5 times during their college career. I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. And I do know this. I know the fans. I get complaints all the time about the current state of college football and basketball, but the ratings are very, very strong for both sports. Mm-hmm. And that's like this. I don't know how many guys I saw. Several college basketball players pull their name from the draft. Yeah. That's to continue their college careers. That's good for college basketball, but at what price? That's what you have to look at. But it's definitely. I think they're getting, both sports are getting more eyeballs. There's no doubt about that. And that's the irony of this whole thing.
Well, what's happened with the portal is this. I played in the Coaches versus Cancer golf tournament, and the topic was brought up by other players in the group. And they said, geez, are we ever going to get to a point where, like, there are guys that actually stay 4 years because as fans, we start to become attached to them, and all of a sudden they take off and go someplace else. And you're right, the ratings are better than ever. I think attendance is about the same as it's been. That hasn't really fallen off in any way, shape, or form. But there is still a desire on the part of the fans, at least some of the old, not all, but some of the old standards were still there.
Yeah, I get that all the time. I mean, I get this from family members who say, who's on the Penn State roster this year? And I said, well, this is sort of a unique situation because you had a coaching change, and how many players who were on the roster left? It's a substantial amount. Whether they went to Virginia Tech or somewhere else, it doesn't matter. There's a substantial number. 50 stayed. Okay. And Campbell brought in 24 kids from Iowa State. And I get that. I get why the kids would want to come here, and I get why Matt Campbell and his staff would want them. But if you're Iowa State, you've been depleted. because of it. And I don't, obviously Matt Campbell and Iowa State have a very, very good relationship. But the fact of the matter is they basically had to rebuild. And Penn State's rebuilding, but in a different way than Iowa State is. And it's not Penn State's fault. It's just the way it's the state of the sport right now.
And it's the bottom line because, look, you now are now reshaping your roster every year. And I'm being asked, like you're being asked all the time, like, how good can they be? Where can they finish?
Right.
I feel like I just finished doing all my pre-work for every football game. So it's all done, all 12 teams. And I have 75% of basketball done because I don't have all the non-conference games. I think I've got them almost all now, but so I'll finish it up this week. But I tell everybody now, I look at rosters because I've gone through it now. It's going to take me a month of the football season and a month of the basketball season to actually figure out who's meshing and who's not and who's good and who isn't. I mean, that's just me. Others I think they can do it right away. I've looked at it now and I know I can't. Yeah,
I mean, you don't like. I can sit here and say Penn State's going to be 9-3 or 10-2, whatever I say.
Sure.
I don't really know. No. And I'm not trying to beg off. I have to make predictions. That's what I do.
Right.
But it's very challenging when you have such a like you said, you're basically you're reshaping your roster every year, and that's what Matt had to do. To be competitive this year in the Big Ten, they had to bring in a lot of transfers. That's the way, and because so many kids who are on the Penn State roster left. I mean, it's the reality of the situation. But if you're going to sit here and I'm going to sit here and say I know exactly how this season is going to go, I'd be lying. I wouldn't have any. I don't have a clue. I mean, I should say I don't have a clue, but I don't have there are games like, okay, they should win these games, but nothing would surprise me this year.
No, nothing surprises me. Yeah, nothing surprises me. And I think the last time you were on, I did use this example, and it was a basketball example. After a month, I thought Michigan had a chance to be really good when the season started.
You did. Yeah.
And then after a month, I was like, whoa, they're going to be really good. Indiana had all those seniors they brought in. And after a month, I looked at them and I was like, I don't know. I don't see it. And then when I saw them in person, I don't care what the final score was with Penn State. I could care less. Dick Girardi and I are driving back to Indianapolis after the game, and I looked over at Dick and I said, this is my imagination, but is that Indiana team really okay and no better than okay?
Yeah.
And he says, I thought the same thing too, because after a month, and at that point it had been 6 weeks into the season, you could just tell it wasn't there for them, and they had nothing but transfers.
Yeah, Steve, that's the question for football, for college football, especially with a Penn State. When will we know who and what they are? Will it be the 3 non-conference games, or will it be would it be include the first couple of Big Ten games, Wisconsin and Northwestern? And I don't. Matt Campbell doesn't know this, but when will we know who and what they'll be?
Yeah,
that's the question. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I always love this time of the year where they act like they're generous by giving you the first 3 kickoffs. Now, you and I are professionals. We'll show up whenever they tell us to. Okay, that's when we punch in, punch out, right? But I always get bugged about the fans. How are they supposed to make any plans? Every other league on the planet has their schedule before the season starts with every single start time. College football is bizarre, and I don't get why.
It has to be the rights holders. It has to be, whether it's Fox, ABC, ESPN, NBC, CBS. It has to be they want to wait. But I'm with you. Thank goodness the Northwestern game being moved to Friday was announced a while ago. But you're right. I mean, The NFL comes out, whenever, how many weeks, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Yeah. Here's our schedule for the year. Here are the times. Yeah. Boom, done. Now, there are flex scheduling at the end of the year, sure.
That's fine.
But there's no reason why Penn State fans shouldn't know what time these games are starting. I mean, they have to make plans. I mean, like you said, guys like us, we'll adjust. We'll figure. We'll be there. Whenever it is.
That's right.
But for fans, it is a definite problem, and I don't think the powers that be really care.
Well, then don't put out the press release that says we have more fan attendance than anybody across the country, because I'm going to look at it and go, really? You did everything that you could to not help them. So
yeah. I mean, you have an idea, what games should be at what times. I mean,
sure, yes,
they know. I mean, maybe there's a couple games you get wrong here in May, but it's all about the brand but whatever. We could talk about this for a long time.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10, Manhattan Project 10. Scheduling a college football game, less than 1. All right, so, Rich, always a pleasure. Have a great one. I appreciate it so much that you took the time to talk with us today.
My pleasure, Steve. Anytime.
The great Rich Scarcella, Reading Eagle. Half hour brought to you by our good friends at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.